Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Chump Talk, episode 176. A little bit of a different episode today. We're not going to have the intro, and we're not going to have the little after part, or maybe we will. I'm not sure there. But our guest is joining us right now. He is a beat reporter for the Toronto Marlies for the Leafs Nation, Nick Barden. Thank you so much for joining us today.
No worries. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming on today, Nick. We've developed quite the relationship over Twitter there with the old burner account, but just kind of tell us where you are right now and what the last few weeks have looked like for you. Obviously, it's been really busy with the Leafs preseason, and now the Marlies are playing some games too. So, how busy have the last few weeks been for you?
I'll be honest. The last few weeks haven't been that busy. This past week has been the busiest. I started really going to Marlies camp. They started, I believe, on Tuesday, and I went Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So I've been there all week. It's felt really weird because I've never covered a team. I covered them last season, but this year I get to go there and watch them and just see them in person and be able to talk to them in person. It's a really weird experience, but yeah, that's what I've been doing the past week, and it's been busy, but I've been at Ford Performance Center the whole time.
Love it.
Trying to do whatever I can there.
Talk us through that day to day, because like a lot of us or anybody listening probably has never got to cover a team like you're getting the opportunity to cover the Marlies this year. So how early are you getting there in the morning? Do you get to talk to the guys before and after the on-ice stuff, or how's that working? Give us your day to day.
So what happened this week was I would get there, the Marlies would practice at around 12. There was actually no days where the Leafs and Marlies both practice at the same time. So it was just all Marlies for the first few. I would get there. On the first day I actually got there, I was sitting in one rink and I was just waiting because I was told that it was going to be on one rink, and I was just sitting in the other one waiting. And I'm like, there's no players coming on the ice. And I'm like, they probably, because what happens is there's like 4 rinks in Ford Performance Center, and the Marlies have their own rink, and then it's beside another rink, and then the Leafs have their own rink, and then there's another one, but I don't think they practice in the other one. So what happens is they'll use one piece of ice, and then once they're done with it, they'll go over to another rink. Like they won't wait for a flood. Like they'll just switch over and go. So what happened was I was sitting there watching, I think it was Antti Suomela and Alex Steves. They're both injured, so they were on the ice earlier.
Right.
And then they just got off the ice and went somewhere else. And I'm like, all right, when are these other guys coming on? And they were on the Leafs rink. So I missed like 15 minutes of practice. But what usually happens is I'll watch their practice. This week they had 2 groups of people. So there'd be the first group, I'd watch them, and then I'd get to interview whoever it was. The first day it was Josh Hosang.
Nice.
And I can't remember who else. And then the second group would come on, and then they would go off, and then we'd interview one more person, and then Greg Moore. So,
right.
And then I would try and stay there. I stayed there the first day to tweet out a few quotes, but there's really not much area for me to sit there and be on my laptop, and I don't know if security might want us kicked out. So I try to do a little bit before I can leave, but that's really it. I would just come and then talk to the players and watch the practice and then really just leave.
Gotcha.
Have there been any surprises so far this preseason, just with guys that made the Leafs or didn't make the Leafs, or just anything that kind of caught your eye from the preseason so far?
From the Leafs standpoint or the Marlies?
Yeah, like both really.
Both,
Marlies guys that you thought maybe should have made the lineup or didn't make the lineup, or just anything like that.
Well, we can, before you get going, before you answer that one, I feel like we should, because this is just like breaking news for us.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be when this episode comes out tomorrow. But Adam Brooks just got claimed off waivers by the Canucks. I feel like that's a surprise. I thought he was kind of a shoo-in to maybe make a 4th line, or maybe like be a healthy scratch. So give us your thoughts on that first, and then maybe see if you can answer about the surprises.
I do just want to say, you said the Canucks. I think you might have got caught with Leafs all day because it was the Habs.
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, the tweet that I seen too was Vancouver.
Yeah, well, I'm just going off
that
what
was
you
Leafs
said,
all day.
Really? Wow. So it's that. Wow. I wonder how that got
So it
mixed
was
up
the
then. But the Habs. Oh, that hurts
Oh,
even more.
yeah, there it is. You're right. Oh, damn it. That's tough. But anyways, he's gone to the Habs. That sucks even more.
yeah. I mean, it was kind of inevitable. I think he had a good season last year, and coming in this one, they have so many guys. Like they have, like it sucks, but at the same time, it's so good that they have all of these
Mhm.
players because
Mm-hmm.
some of them will squeak through, some of them won't. I mean, Adam Brooks I would say, just got beat out by Pierre Engvall for a spot, and
Right.
Michael Amadio, but also that Ilya Mikheyev thing also helped with that. But
Yeah.
I mean, Adam Brooks was really good. It was really great to have him in the organization. It's gonna suck though because he has to go to the Habs. I thought it would be inevitable though, and it sucks to say that, but with them having so many guys and them being the
Right.
Toronto Maple Leafs,
It just had to
somebody
happen.
was going to get clean. Yeah.
Yeah. Looking at the Marlies this year, are there any guys that we should look out for? Just any names that you think have the potential to make the jump to the Leafs lineup, whether it's this year or sometime next year, even just names that we don't hear but very often, just guys that you've noticed have really good camps or just good prospects for the Leafs there?
I think Josh Hosang, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
we all know about him. I'd say he's probably him and maybe Robertson are the closest ones to getting somewhere. I do want to say like there's a few guys like Christian Rubens, Philip Kral, like those guys I think will be good. I don't know how good they will be, but those guys are players to keep an eye on. Pavel Gogolev is another one who's really good, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how he does. And then his first AHL season, um, one of the players you might not hear a lot about is Jeremy McKenna. He's not obviously signed by the Leafs, but I don't know. I was watching him the other day just take one timers, and his shot is really really good. If I had to bet on anyone, I'd say him, coming from just going back and forth from Wichita last year and then coming to the Marlies and spending a little time there. He really just showed how quick he could develop into an AHL player, and at his age, that's something good. I think he would be an interesting one for me to say that there could be a spot for him in an NHL roster, and I'd say a year or two.
Beauty. What about Joey Dusak? That's the
Yeah.
we got to ask about that because he's the only current player in the Leafs organization that we've had the chance to have on our podcast. Joey Dusak, is he like, obviously kind of the things I read about him and see, like undersized offensive defenseman, maybe
Hobie Baker
struggle.
runner up.
Yeah, Hobie Baker maybe struggles a little bit in the D zone, but does he have a shot to make the jump at some point, do you think?
I think so. I mean, he brings a little bit of feistiness as well to his game, which, I mean, you don't really see it as much anymore as you do. Like if there's somebody digging at your goalie, there's not a lot of players that will go and push out of the way and be like, why the hell are you digging at my goalie, sort of thing. He's one of those guys who could, like, I remember he played Brendan Gallagher last season when Gallagher was down with Laval, and he was saying that how they both share such a similar play style and they both love battling, and they're essentially just like rats on the ice.
Nice.
He's a guy that I think could make the jump. I don't think it'll be with the Leafs though, just because of their overcrowded system. But yeah, he provides a lot of offense. He was on the Leafs not the Leafs, the Marlies power play last season. I'd expect him to be at somewhere, maybe the second or first power play unit, wherever Greg Moore wants him this season. But he's a guy who last year played his best hockey of his life, and I don't think with another year under his belt, he's not going to play worse. So
Yep.
I think in due time it'll come. He's also, I believe, 23 or 24, I think, or around there. But I think he'll be good. I think he'll at some point get to the NHL. I just don't know where it would be, but I know one thing, that it won't be with the Leafs.
I do have to ask about Josh Hosang. He was kind of one of the bigger headlines heading into the Leafs preseason camp there. He signed that deal with the Marlies. It kind of sounds like it's one of those similar things to what Alex Galchenyuk was last year. Just one of those guys that has potential, starts the year with the Marlies. In your opinion, do you see a guy like Josh Hosang being called up one point and kind of being used in a similar role to Galchenyuk in a top 9, maybe even top 6 role at the Leafs, or what do you read into that signing? Like, do you also think there's potential that maybe he just sticks with the Marlies the whole year? Because it's pretty fascinating when it seems like that guy's been giving a bunch of opportunities and he hasn't really found it yet. And well, he had that quote, what was that, almost a month ago now, that he basically would take any role within the Leafs organization, whether that was, being a hockey player, not a hockey player. But just what do you read into the
Bullshit,
Josh
by the
Hosang
way.
signing? Yeah, bullshit. But yeah, just what do you think about that? Because it definitely is very intriguing to look at. He is one of those guys that used to have, some of the most elite potential as a young prospect, and it just hasn't panned out for him yet. But it could be interesting to see where he ends up this year and what he may or not be able to do within the Leafs organization.
Yeah, I think for him, it's all about just. It's the same as Galchenyuk, like you said. Like, it's just rebuilding process. Uh, I I'll say he's a very nice person. He's a great person. He seems like he's. I don't know what's gone on before with him, but he's changed as a person, whether that be where he did it in, I believe he said Sweden. But I think for him, it's all about just finding his game first. And if he can find it and produce at the AHL level, which I believe we've seen before, I mean, anything's possible for him to get up with the Leafs. It's just a matter of how and when he'll do it. I mean, he's getting a shot with Nick Robertson on the top line.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it's destined to happen. It's just a matter of when for him.
Injuries or
yeah, it's like for him, it's just about finding his game, and if he can find that really quick and be really good in the first month or so, then he could be in the Leafs lineup maybe 2 or 3 months down the road. So I mean, again, it's just all about him and whether or not he can find his game and just find just a role for himself. And if he can do that, I think he'll be up with the Leafs by season's end for sure.
For sure. Another guy, Curtis Gabriel. He's the type of guy I definitely expected to see in the fourth line healthy scratch role. He just seems like he was kind of a lock to be on the main team, like not necessarily get a lot of playing time, but be there. Gotten, I think, 4 preseason fights before he got sent down. I'm sure he'll get in a couple more with the Marlies if he hasn't already. But Curtis Gabriel, give us your thoughts on him.
Another great person. I mean, one of the things that I've said is, for me, I'm more interested, I'll be honest, about the player than the game that they bring. I think Curtis Gabriel is a great guy, and what fascinates me is all the great players who are so nice and really are so good off the ice are the ones on the ice who are fighting. But for him, I think it'll be interesting to see what he brings to the Marlies. I don't know where he'll slot in. I'm very curious to see where, because
Rich Clune, hopefully.
Yeah,
that would be a sight. That'd be pretty cool.
That would be cool.
Like I remember last season, Scott Sabourin's first game with the Marlies, he bulldozered over a goaltender, and then there was like, I think 11 seconds into his first game, and he got kicked out. But I don't know about Gabriel. I mean, we'll have to wait and see. It would be fun to see him with Rich Clune. But I think he'll bring a lot of energy to the Marlies. They have a lot of good guys already that bring a lot of energy, especially Rich Clune.
Yep.
And just adding another guy like that, I think that'll be his role, is just bringing energy wherever they can, and wherever he fits, it'll be good. But that energy role will be good as well.
Another guy that's brought some headlines to his name is Timothy Lilgin, who is a first-round draft pick. Was that almost 4 or 5 years ago now? I think he's been with the Marlies pretty well ever since he got drafted, which has been 4 or 5 seasons now, I think. So a lot of people are wondering when he's finally going to make the jump. Do you see him actually having an impact on the Leafs roster this year? Because I think I mean, at least for a couple of years now, it's kind of been a question every preseason. Do we think Lilgin will have an
I know.
impact? And it just never seems to be that way. And it's kind of getting old in a way. Like, you never want to give up on a guy, but Lilgin, like, he's first round draft pick 4 or 5 years ago. You hope the jump comes sometime soon, but obviously with you being around the Marlies, I'm sure you've got to see Timothy a lot over the years and even last year or whatever. So just what do you think about him?
He's an interesting one. I mean, I personally want to see him up with the Leafs, sorry. I want to see him play some games. And with Travis Dermott there, it kind of holds him at a standstill. He's not really going to get the minutes. It looks like right now in practice, you see him paired up on the bottom pairing with Rasmus Sandin. And then come the last game of training camp, Travis Dermott was there. So I don't know. I want the best for the guy. I mean, he's shown at the AHL level that he can play in the NHL. He's so good in the AHL. There's no point of keeping him there, but also there's no point of keeping him off the ice. Like, I don't believe for his development, I don't think it's a good idea for him to be a seventh defenseman.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's either you play him or you say, look, we're going to trade you somewhere where you can play, because I think that's the most ideal thing. Obviously, the Leafs want depth going into the playoffs, and Timothy Lilgren's a guy who provides a lot of depth.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't say I wouldn't think that they'd trade him unless Lilgren would want to be traded. And I think that it's frustrating for him not getting a shot at the NHL and not playing a lot. But I don't know. It's such a curious thing because we don't really know, and he's so good at the AHL level, but we haven't seen enough at the NHL level for him to be good.
And just kind of add on to that, I think it's more frustrating for us three as like kind of diehard Leaf fans to hear about Lilgren, because Leafs Twitter or Leafs media in general is crazier than, or it's more crazy and more prevalent. Like, I saw a tweet, it might have even been you or something you retweeted, I don't know what it was, but every preseason the Leafs fans have something to argue about. Like, this year, is it going to be Lilgren and Dermott on that last pairing, or will Marincin be the 7th D last year, or whatever it is? Sorry to come at your boy like that, but and we'll wrap up quick. But I just wanted to it's not uncommon for a defense to take as long to develop as Lilgren has. Like, there's lots of a little bit undersized defense that really make their jump. Like, if you look at Justin Hall, he's now a steady NHL defenseman. Took him a while to get there. Last guy I wanted to ask you about before we wrap up, and I don't even really know how to say his name. It's Kirill Semyonov. How do you say that? Semyonov.
I think it's Kirill Semyonov.
Okay, tell me who he is, where he's going to be playing. Is he going to make the Leafs?
That's a good question. I don't know. I like that fourth line is so jumbled right now. Like, you have Wayne Simmons, who wants to play a lot. You have Jason Spezza, who expects to play a lot. Mm-hmm. And then you have Pierre Engvall, you have Michael Amadio, and you also have Semyonov. I mean, he's a good centerman, but also at the same time, like, he might get games here and there, but I don't know what happens once Ilya Mikheyev returns, because there's going to be a player that has to go out. There might be two because of how much he makes. So that's a good question. He's a great centerman. He's done a lot of good things in preseason. But if Pierre Engvall keeps scoring goals and keeps doing things that make him stand out, I think he'll be one of those guys who stays. But then if a Jason Spezza needs to come out for a rest game, or Wayne Simmons needs to come out for something, I think you could see Semyonov come in and slot in somewhere.
Beauty.
Yeah. One more for you, Nick, before we let you go. We got to end off with this. In your mind, what is a successful season for Leafs? Like, when we talk about the Leafs next summer, like, what in our minds, or what in your mind will be a successful season for the Leafs?
The parade bus going up Yonge Street.
Yeah, amen. Yeah, and I watched the first and last episode of that All or Nothing series. I couldn't actually make myself watch the whole thing because I was so angry. So right now, it's a bitter taste for me, Leafs, but that's just because I don't know. I'm such diehard. Like the second Wednesday night comes and they play that first game, I'll be all in.
Yeah, I know.
They'll
Me
be winning
too.
the cup. I'll be like, everybody will be the best and it'll be all fine. But Nick, thanks so much for doing this today. Is there anything you need to shout out for people to find you? Great Twitter follow at Nick Barden. Is there anything else that you need to shout out before we let you go?
I'd say maybe my YouTube. It's
Yeah.
Nick Barden. I mean, I don't know how I'm going to do like Marley stuff this season.
Mm-hmm.
I might bring my camera and do little stories. Like instead of all my writing, I might do it on camera and put it on YouTube. So I don't know yet. We'll have to see. But that's another place that they can find me as well. Instagram at Nick Barden.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and post a lot of photos of the Marlies this year. So that'll be interesting. But those are the three places.
Awesome. And well, this episode will be coming out tomorrow. So if you want to help the boys out and throw it on your Twitter to the followers, that'd be nice. But either way,
I would.
Thanks for doing this over Thanksgiving, and have a good one.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Yep.
Right,
thanks, Nick.